For women especially, women over 40 especially, this becomes a big issue. Alcohol seems to be something that people do dry January for, but they don't know exactly why they're doing it. As little as one drink a night has been shown in a new study to shrink the brain. But the championship statement is something that has been so useful for me that I've been doing it every single morning, because I believe that when you get crystal clear on what you want, then you can build around that. What does that even mean? What does being healthy mean? Being healthy to somebody could mean doing a handstand, and being healthy to someone else could mean that they're looking to normalize their cholesterol, for example. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. I'm going to fix my hat so you guys can see me a little bit better. I am so grateful for all of you. And today is going to be jam-packed. We have a big agenda. I wanted to share with you a few quick tips to make your 2025 healthier, because we feel overwhelmed with all the things we have to do. So I was thinking of a few things from personal experience, from feedback that I've been getting about what really works, what really helps. And I'm going to bring on a special guest. We're going to be going back and forth. We're going to also be taking your questions. It's going to be a great show. So I'm very grateful that you're here. I'd like to know, do you set New Year's resolutions? And if you do, what are they? So I don't necessarily set New Year's resolutions, but I do a year in review where I look at my year as a whole and think about the things that went well, things that didn't go well, and the people, the places, the things that really supported my growth, and the people, places, or things that really brought me down, so that I can do a better job in 2025. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm curious from you guys, do you, I'll take a look. Do you set New Year's resolutions? And if so, what are some of them? I would love to hear. And also, I'm going to be going over some of the very, very top things that you can be doing. We're going to create a whole document on this. So I think that this is going to be very useful for you. But in the beginning, I wanted to give you some of my favorite tips. So, and we're going to bring on a guest that's going to be part of the show as well. So I'm very, very excited. Thank you for being here. For those of you who are new to this format, this is what we do every week. Although, reminder that next week we change the schedule a little bit because I'm traveling on Thursday. So we're going to do this on Tuesday. So if you're part of the monthly group, we basically go over what I posted on Instagram, what I've talked about in the newsletter, what is coming up in your questions, and we kind of go through it, as well as some topics of teaching and live coaching, which I think is the most valuable for so many of you, getting, real-time advice about what, you might want to concentrate on, or what's not worth your time, or what I think of a situation. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being part of the show. And for those of you who are like new here, again, this is the weekly show. We spend an hour, about an hour, maybe a little bit less sometimes, going over really key topics. And I'd love for you to join. So please join if you're interested. This is a great way to support your growth in the new year, and have a community of like-minded folks that help you. So before I start, I wanted to see if there's any questions, any comments, anything that you really wanted to talk about, because I think it's very easy to get overwhelmed, and I wanted to make sure we do that. Bethany, is there any questions to start out the show, or should we just get into it?
We don't have any yet.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to give you, I wrote down a couple of things that I think would really be great for you. Okay, the first one is squats. Okay, what do I mean by squats? The first hack is that when you are in your workday, you should get up every 45 minutes and do 45 seconds of squats. Why is that important? We have a study now that shows that doing squats every hour for just 45 seconds or so. So like, you get up after this call or whatever and you do a few squats. This is going to help your blood sugar. Actually, it's going to help your blood sugar even more than if you did a single 30-minute walk. So you can imagine what an impact it has on your blood sugar. Now, of course, some of us, like me, sometimes I walk on a walking pad. That's really great too. But the squat idea is something you can do when you're traveling, something that you can do when you're stuck in a meeting and you can't get up. And it actually has such crazy benefits. That study was so impressive. So that's something to add to your routine in 2025. And we know that lower body strength correlates with brain health as we age, and it also correlates with falls, so muscle strength. So if you're someone, especially a woman, say in perimenopause, and you're like, what can I do in my life that could improve it, that it requires just a small tweak, it would be adding squats to your day. So when when you're sitting, it will help your blood sugar, it will help your lower body strength, it will help your brain, and it's just an easy thing to add. And then, okay, second one, that's number one. Number two, scroll only while you stroll. Scroll, so scrolling social media, Instagram, TikTok, only while you stroll, walk. So the reason for this little change, we know that people who doom scroll, are more unhappy and anxious than people who don't. We also know that it's a time suck, and an energy suck, and a relationship suck. So one of the things I've done for myself, and I think could be a really great addition to 2025 for you, is to limit your scrolling, social media scrolling. But that's easy to say, right? Because we reflexively do it. So that's a trick. And I look forward to it because that's the time of my day. Usually it will be at the very end of the day, and it will be a way to catch up on what's happening on social media. I myself am going to do a really dedicated push to doing less scrolling, because I think I used to say, oh, it's inspiring, I like to see what other people are doing, but I realize it's the opposite, and it actually brings me down. And so I want to do less of it and stay in my zone, stay in my area that I feel comfortable. And I feel like if for me to go to the next level in my life, in my fitness, in my business, in my relationships, I need to cut that out almost completely. So I'm really working on that. I'll tell you how it goes. That's something that I think could be a small switch. Third thing, brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand. So for me, it's my right hand. I'm a lefty. So what this does, it activates a different part of your brain than your dominant hand. It's an easy way for us to activate that different area of the brain that doesn't get worked a lot by brushing with the non-dominant hand. So today, I'll tell you, I was getting really late for my workout class that I did this morning, which I did a story from. I don't know if you saw on social media, and I went to my dominant hand. And as I was doing it, I was like, oh, shoot, I forgot I'm supposed to do it with my non-dominant hand. So I just switched. And what happens is, like, I've been doing it for so many days now that I actually remembered while I was brushing to switch hands. It's a great way. And you could do this all day long. You can switch your non-dominant hand when doing other tasks, but it's harder to remember than doing it in the morning. So I think that is something that can really improve your life. So I often ask people, what is the one healthy change that has improved your life? And a lot of people give me feedback about, what they've done that's really, really changed their life when it comes to nutrition, health. So the one thing that I wanted to add to this list of kind of, little tweaks that you can do in your life to open up 2025 as a brand new portal for your gifts is, and I don't know how I'm going to phrase this on the official document, but it's to improve your nutrition drastically for 3 days. So we have studies that show that, gut bacteria starts to change within a day or 12 hours of eating foods. Like, so just a couple of meals starts to change your gut bacteria. But over the course of 3 days, you have a substantial difference in your gut microbiome. And that is something I think is very, very exciting. And I think anecdotally, you probably know that if you go 3 days without eating well, you feel like crap. And often the opposite is true. You spend 3 days at a spa or eating super healthy and you feel like $1,000,000. So I want you to pick 3 days out of this year, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and do your very best to cut out ultra processed food, cut out alcohol, cut out processed sugar, and eat a whole foods, high fiber, that 30-33 diet for 3 days and see how you feel. This is a wonderful way to really get an idea of how good your gut health can be. It's not very hard. It's not forever. It's not like you'll never have to get to eat pizza again. It's just a test for you to see how you feel. Now, I'm not saying that you can change your entire health in 3 days. It's just that it starts in 3 days. So it's kind of like dry January when, you stop drinking for a week or two, you start to see some changes. Similarly, you're not going to reverse everything you've ever done, but 3 days is all it takes to start seeing a change. So I want you to feel that. So I'm super excited to see. If you have any comments or questions on this, let me know. But I think sometimes New Year's resolutions become super complicated, and we often feel like we're overwhelmed with all the things that we're supposed to be doing. And for me, like another one that's on my list is 1 hour of sunlight every day. Now, that's not always possible. So I'm just going to write sunlight because 1 hour is not always possible. But 1 hour means like, so you're going for an outdoor walk and, you're going, you're getting your nature time. And honestly, I feel like getting that 1 hour is so worth it. I know it's not always possible, so you can just say sunlight in general. We can add that to our list for all of us. Now, Mithil, you can come on in. We have a guest here. Hello?
Hi, everyone.
Okay, hold on. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Okay, sorry. I was trying to bring on a guest, and you can see her here. You won't be able to hear her until I give you. I think I can't hear you without having these on, so I have to keep them on. So the reason why I wanted to bring on Mithil is I thought that it would be fun for her to ask some of the questions that all of us have about healthy habits. What are the burning questions that you have? So please put your burning questions in here, and I'll go over some of the hacks that I went over already. So Mithil, what we were talking about is little changes like doing squats in your everyday life so that you can improve your blood sugar, especially on days where you can't move. Like I'm doing a lot of traveling, so I'm going to have to be doing this as well. And then secondly was scroll only while you stroll. So to cut down on social media, toxic social media, like that doom scrolling thing that we talk about. A third thing was using your non-dominant hand to brush your teeth, to activate certain parts of your brain. As we age, we're always looking for brain exercises that we could be doing. And thirdly, we talked about changing your gut health diet for about 3 days. So I realized you could be talking, you just won't be able to hear everyone. So what question comes up to you when it comes to gut health, hormones, aging, perimenopause, all of that stuff? Do you have a question?
Yeah,
I think one of the questions I have is I always hear about, like quick things you can do to improve your gut health because I've learned now that gut health and kind of weight loss are, linked in so many ways. And I'm always looking for ways to get fitter and healthier. So my question is in terms of like probiotic foods and fermented foods, we hear about kimchi and things like that, but how much do I really need to eat? I'm like, do I need to eat this like 3 times a day, like 2 tablespoons all the time? Is it just once a day? I just would love some clarification on, and if I should do more to get faster results or.
This is such a great question. Okay. So remember that 97% of the American population doesn't even get enough fiber, much less fermented fiber. So probably 99% of the population is not getting enough fermented foods. So any amount of fermented food, probiotic food that you eat is a bonus. And you know that, and I know that, like, yes, it would be great to get 3 servings in a day, like we say in the 30-33, like either 1 spoon of sauerkraut, 1 apple cider vinegar, and 1 serving of yogurt. That would be great, 3 servings. But honestly, anything more than 0 would be my recommendation for you. Like if you could just say, I'm going to have something fermented every single day, that is enough for me to feel like that's going to make a sizable change in your gut health. And so one thing I did want to mention to you is that one of my predictions for 2025 is that gut health is going to explode in all the ways. There's going to be new products, which is great. We need new products to incorporate into our life. There's going to be more talk about how to really activate the gut-brain connection through exercise, through other modalities. So I really think that getting ahead of the curve is going to be in your favor. And so any kind of fermented foods that you like, kimchi, sauerkraut, yogurt, probiotic cottage cheese, even raw apple cider vinegar and water, those are all amazing ways to incorporate fermented food. But to answer your question, even 1 serving a day would be a great goal and a very doable goal for most people in the US. I would say pretty much everyone that's listening here. Do you have another question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That's really good to know because I think I was feeling overwhelmed in terms of like, is one enough? Like, am I doing enough? Do I need to be doing more? So I think that's really helpful. Okay. The other question I had was, in terms of bone health, because I've been reading a lot about deterioration of our bone health. And, I'm finding, I'm suffering from a knee injury myself, and I'm feeling like I'm losing a lot of muscle because I'm not able to do some of the things that you're suggesting, like squats, et cetera, because my knee is hurting a lot. So I guess what I wanted to know is I don't want to obviously lose muscle, but I also am really worried about like my bone health because I'm seeing like, even people like my mom who are not that old, 65 years old, are already suffering from osteopenia. And I want to prevent that. Mm-hmm. And I guess my question to you is like, in terms of like, weightlifting and building up that keeping my bone strong and improving it. Like, what do you recommend? Like, people say, oh, you need weight training, like, 3 to 4 times a week. And I just feel like there's so much information. I'm not just doing it for weight loss. Like, I really want to know, like, what do I need to do to prevent osteopenia?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. By the way, if any of you have a question while we're on the chat, please put your question in the chat box because we will be able to answer it when we pause, and we'll be able to kind of go into coaching if you'd like it. And so what Mito is saying is something that I actually had the same question a few years ago, because we have a ton of people in our family on both my sides have osteoporosis or osteopenia. And so you have to wonder, okay, what's happening here? So this is what's happening. As you move through perimenopause, so as you go into your 40s and 50s, the bone density starts to decrease, meaning that you have 2 kinds of cells in your bones, or primarily osteoblasts and osteoclasts. Osteoblasts build bone. That's how I always remembered it. Blasts build, clasts break it down. As we move through perimenopause, the activity of the clasts goes way up as compares the activity of the blasts. And so what we notice is that women start to lose bone at much higher rates than they were before. This is very scary for women, for example, who are under eating, who are on Ozempic or GLP-1s, because what happens is when you're not doing enough weight training and you're really dieting hard, you're going to get accelerated breakdown of your muscle and your bone. And that's one of the big concerns about GLP-1s, is that although people are losing weight, there is going to be long-term consequences to this type of weight loss, because a lot of people are not coupling it with weight training exercise. So for women, especially women over 40, especially, this becomes a big issue. So you want to be eating good nutrition, enough phytochemicals and healthy foods and protein. But you also want to be doing some kind of resistance training at least twice a week. That's what I would say. Twice a week. Doesn't have to be fancy. So even if you said, I did for your knee injury, for example, think about push and pull as your 2 days, okay? Push means push-ups, push against a wall, push some weights, like pushes versus pulls. Pulls means like curls and pulling yourself up on a bar. So push and pull could be your 2 days. If you want to make it even simpler than that, one of those days could be just a weighted vest walk. A weighted vest is a wonderful way to add weight to your walk. So it's kind of like a resistance training exercise. And you want to use about a weight that's about 10 to 15% of your body weight to start with. Okay. So if you're like 150-pound person, you want to start with a 15 to 20-pound vest. And that's something that's going to be, not start, but that's something that would be significant. So you might start with 10 pounds, might work up to 15 or 20. And going for a walk every day, or a couple times a week with that will mimic a resistance training. It doesn't have to be at the gym. It doesn't have to be, it can be yoga. It can be Pilates. It can be other forms of exercise. Like you said, right now you're injured. You can do push and pull in any way that you want. You can even type into ChatGPT, give me a list of push exercises that don't use my knee. Same thing with the pull. So that is something I think that can really help you and help a lot of people who are looking for the answer to improving their bone health and muscle health in 2025. I think everyone should be getting a DEXA scan if you haven't already. I don't know, have you gotten one?
I haven't gotten one yet.
So getting a DEXA scan is super inexpensive and a good way for you to know, okay, what is my bone density? What should I be doing to improve it? So if you are in the early stages, most people don't get a bone density test till it's way too late, and they're already in kind of advanced osteopenia or advanced osteoporosis, and then you have to do some aggressive measures. So a DEXA scan is something that's easy that many women can do. So that's something that we can easily do. So I didn't officially introduce her, but this is Mithil Shah. She is a PA. Now it's not physician assistant, right? It's physician associate.
Yeah.
She is a physician associate in cardiology, very, very well versed in heart health, in overall metabolism. She is an integral part of the Amy MD Wellness team. She is also my cousin, and we have a lot of things that we talk about offline that I thought it was be good to bring on online, because I think you guys could benefit from it. What, if I can ask you, what is something that you're starting in the new year to improve your gut or hormones or brain health?
I always feel like every, December 31st, I make like a ton of resolutions, and then I'm like, can I stick with them? Can I not stick with them? Et cetera, et cetera. But this year, I think what I really want to try and do is I'm making a commitment to making 2025 I'm not going to be drinking any alcohol at all in 2025. That's one of the big things I want to commit to, not just dry January. I know you and I have had a lot of conversations about this, but I really am realizing, like, for me at least, how it's affecting me and, what kind of damage the alcohol is really doing. So, and I think, I don't think we talk enough about it, and how it impacts our body. So that's one of the things I'm going to be doing.
Didn't you go 2024 with no alcohol?
Yeah, I did do 2024 with no alcohol. And then I was thinking, should I move this, do I go back, or do I, keep going
Amazing.
forward? But I felt so good in 2024 without having even one drink or like one sip of alcohol. I was just like, I want to try and keep this going for 2025. So that's my goal again. I felt so much better since I've eliminated it from my life.
Awesome. That is such a great resolution. I think I put on Instagram today about how, alcohol seems to be something that people do dry January for, but they don't know exactly why they're doing it. Rihanna is who I use an example of. She said that she actually just finished a full year without alcohol. And I thought it was interesting because, someone like her, a star, someone in the business where it's like music business, you really feel like, wow, how do you survive in that celebrity music world without alcohol? And she did it for a full year, and she wrote like "New Year, New Me," right? So that I thought was really motivational, because if someone can do it in the midst of all of that pressure, and I can imagine how much pressure she gets to kind of have alcohol, we can do it. So even as little as one drink a night has been shown in a new study to shrink the brain. So one drink per night on a regular basis is enough to shrink the brain. And as you move into 2 or 3 or 4, you're really damaging your brain along with other things. But that brain health is something I found was so interesting, because we used to think drinking a little bit of alcohol was great because it does have some anti-inflammatory benefits. But when you look at the big picture, especially when you look at brain health and nervous system health, it is not healthy for you. So that is very, very good. So one thing that I'm doing for my health is, so I'm doing a couple things. So as my year got busier, especially like as I moved into February, March, April, and the rest of the year, my travel schedule started to become really crazy. And I could not just rely on a workout that would happen every day, because as my travel schedule got crazy, my life got changed. I had no like set routine. And so I didn't really have a morning class that I would go to or a workout that I would do. And I think what I realized is I had to make it happen no matter what, in any form possible. And so I decided that in 2025, I was going to be more intentional about that. Instead of just winging it and hoping that at some point in the day I would find an hour to go to the gym, I'm going to put on the calendar that I need to do weight training 3 times a week. Because I know if I write 3 times a week or 4 times a week, that I probably will end up with one less than I say. And that way, this gives me structure and gives me flexibility. So if I'm traveling on Thursday, Friday, I have to get all 3 done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Or if I'm traveling all week, I have to figure out a way while I'm traveling to get 3 sessions. I think it's doable for me. And I thought that would be a wonderful way to kind of include weight training into my life, which I think was kind of getting to the back burner, because I would walk all day long. And I even incorporated a lot of yoga, especially on the latter half of the year, but I was really slacking on the weight training because I don't really love, it doesn't give me a lot of mindset benefits like the other things do. So I think I was slacking on those things. I want to hear from you. Do you guys have any things that you're working on for this next year that you want to do to really elevate your hormone, your gut, or your brain health? Because I think it's motivating to hear everyone's examples of what they're doing to improve their health and what things they're concentrating on. And then the other thing, and I think I told Mithil this, but and I mentioned it before on the show, is that I'm really going to up my creative juices. I feel like as I got busier and busier this past year, I really wasn't able to be as creative as I wanted with the things I put out there, with my ideas about health, because I was so busy in my business trying to build it. I was so busy seeing patients. I was so busy answering emails. And I think what I need to do is find space in every way possible to be able to keep that creative energy, because that's something that drives me and what I do. And so that is something that I'm going to be prioritizing in 2025. Is there anything else that you're going to be doing in 2025, or what do you see as a big trend for people to do?
I don't know about what the big trends are, but I think the other thing that I really want to try to do is, and I loved what you said, about you're like just making it kind of like an appointment, or like fixing this time in the morning to do your weight training. I really love that. I really love hearing you say that, because I know how insane your schedule is. So I'm thinking, my schedule is nothing compared to that. And I'm winging it, I'm like, okay, now I know it's like just 2 times a week, before where I knew I was like trying to go for like 4 or 5 times a week. So I think for me, that's really motivational, what you just said, the fact that you're making it such a priority. I think the other thing that I really want to try and do, and I don't know if any of you have tried this, and if you have you gotten any results? This is really about kind of being mindful and, manifesting. So I haven't done it yet, but one of my goals for this week is I want to make a vision board. I've heard people talk about it so much my whole life. I see it all the time on social media. I've never done it, but I really want to kind of have a vision board and be intentional with some of the things that I want to manifest in 2025. And I would love to hear, I don't know if you do this, Dr. Amy, I'd love to hear kind of your thought process on this, and if you've done it, and if you've had any results, or if any of you have ever done it and had any results, and kind of, the process of doing it. Do you look at it every day? Do you think about it? That's one of the things I want to try.
Yeah. I want to share with you, for those of you who don't know, I think I'm going to put it on my list. Like I said, I'm building a list of little habits that I think is going to really make big changes in your 2025. And one of the things that I've been doing is a championship statement. And that is credited to my very good friend, Todd Stottlemyre, who taught me this. And a championship statement is a way to visualize everything that you want in your life on a daily basis every morning. So how he described it to me was, when he's a professional athlete, or former professional athlete, and when he was, everybody on the outside was like, oh my God, he's so amazing. He's on the World Series team and he's a pitcher, and he, like, look at him and his family. His dad was like his dad was a Hall of Fame pitcher, and his brother was in the MLB. And he said, everybody thought like I had this perfect life, but he's like, I hated who I was. And I felt so like inspired by that message, because I felt the same way. There's times when I thought about when I was in my, when my kids were really young and I was working as a full-time doctor, I felt like, oh my God, from the outside, it seems like I have everything together, but I hate my life. I hate, how I feel. I hate how I look. I don't love everything I'm doing. And so basically what Todd did is he went to a very famous sports psychologist who suggested a few things, but one of the biggest things was this championship statement. And it's basically every morning you wake up, and before you kind of dive into your big day to-do list or whatever, you write down. I use a large index card, kind of like this, but now Mithil actually got me a journal, and so I'm switching to a more organized format. But on that card or that journal or whatever you have, you write down everything that you want to happen, a kind of a visualization of your life as if it's already happened. So, I am a leader in nutrition and gut health and women's health. I speak often. I travel often. Like, you can write all the details. You can be like, I live in a spacious, lighted home with a home studio. I just finished writing my 9th book or whatever it is. And you can say like, my business now has 10 products, and my children are thriving in their careers, and all of the things I feel so great in my body, all of the things you want for yourself, you can write that on there and get it so tight that every day it's just another version of that championship statement. Like mine, if you read it, it's almost the same every single day. And the whole point of that is to kind of repeat to yourself, to your brain, what you want. And it has everything in it for me. It has my health goals. It has my mindset goals. It has my friendship goals, my career goals, my financial goals, my children's goals, all of that. Like I do it in a way where it's not specifically tied to a number or like, oh, my kids have to get into this college or whatever. It's specifically tied to an outcome. Like they are really successful in what they're doing. My book is a top book in its category. Like things where it's a feeling and not necessarily a specific achievement that the world puts out there, because you don't know. Like I might think that they would be really happy being a doctor, but they might be really happy in a different career that I can't anticipate at this point. And so try to make it in a way that is open to what the future can hold. But the championship statement is something that has been so useful for me that I've been doing it every single morning, because I believe that when you get crystal clear on what you want, then you can build around that. So if you're like, every day I've been saying that I want to be the strongest I've ever been. I want to be able to, pull my body weight. And then if you don't do it day in and day out, you're just like, oh my God, like there's such a disconnect, right? So it kind of realigns what you want for yourself. Can't be changing it that much every day, but it can be a little bit different on a daily basis. So that is something that I have included in my daily kind of morning routine. And like I said, now I'm going to be doing it in the journal instead of just doing it on a random piece of paper. But honestly, when you write down things, physically write it down, you actually have a much greater chance of making it come true. And I have done, one time I did a vision board in a group. And to be honest, for me, I found it to be difficult to do it with a group around, because sometimes when you're with people that you don't necessarily know that well, and you're like cutting things out of it's almost hard to be bold and be big, because I at least always worry that like, I don't want someone to think like, oh, who does she think she is? Like saying that she's going to be a leader in X, Y, and Z. So I found that it's really cool exercise. And I know a lot of people have vision board parties, but it's almost like a little bit of a private thing. I mean, I could do it with you, but I didn't really feel comfortable doing it in a large group setting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Is there any other follow-up for that? And I wanted to hear from anybody in the audience. If you have a thought or question, you want to come on live. If you want to be a live coach in the future, what you should do is let Bethany know that you want to be live coached either today or in the future or on a future show. And that day you should be ready to turn on your camera, have your audio kind of, sometimes I know there's days that, you can't turn on your camera or you're on the go. So that's not a necessarily great day to get coached. But on another day, you should definitely plan to take advantage of the time that we have together to get coached. And this episode, I don't know if I told you, Mithil, surprise, is actually going to be part of the podcast.
Oh, wow.
Because we want to be able to share with everyone kind of new year thoughts. I know you by the way, I know you tried the chai protein. What did you think of the chai protein? How do you have it?
Okay, so I have been doing the chai protein. I think the taste is absolutely delicious if you haven't tried it. And I'm not saying this like from like a biased point of view. I am literally like a coffee connoisseur. Like I love drinking coffee and teas and being South Asian, I've grown up drinking really good tea. So I love this chai latte protein powder. I think the taste is just absolutely delicious. I love making it into like a dirty chai, which is what I think, I think your husband does the same,
Yep.
but I love making it into a dirty chai. So I usually mix it with a little bit of water and then a plant-based milk. I've been really liking, actually it's not plant-based. I've been really liking oat milk lately. So I've been doing that. Little water, oat milk. I put the water in first. I put the chai latte powder, protein powder in next. I mix that together, and then I add in my instant coffee. I don't have any kind of fancy coffee. I love that instant coffee with this, and then a little bit of my oat milk, and I mix it together. And I just love it because for a couple of reasons. One, the taste is really great, so I don't feel like I'm drinking like a protein powder because I think it's difficult to find a protein powder that tastes good. I don't know if anyone has a recommendation. I would love to hear it. I haven't been able to find one, and I have tried a lot of them. So I love this because this is like something delicious that I really love to drink, and it has protein in it. So I don't feel like I'm forcing myself to drink something that I don't enjoy. So I love it.
And a lot of people ask me why we chose to put microfiltered whey. So for those of you who don't know, on amymdwellness.com, we've launched a new chai protein powder. And the whole point was to give 20 grams of protein in one serving. So like if you're doing the 30-33 and you want to add it to your oatmeal, or you want to add it to your smoothie, or you want to add it like a dirty chai, you got your 20 right there. Now, we chose microfiltered whey over a pea protein and soy protein. Here's why. If you take green peas and you try to turn it into a flavorless powder, white powder, think about the processing that it takes to go from green pea with a flavor profile to a powder. It's very similar to what happened with soy protein powders. So there was a big craze for soy protein powders, and then everyone realized, oh my God, the amount of processing it takes to take a soybean and to turn it into a powder is incredible. It's ultra processed food. And so soy protein products became less popular because everyone was like, well, this is something that you're doing for your health, but you're eating an ultra processed food. So guess what? They thought, well, we'll just switch to peas because it doesn't sound good to have soy protein. But think about the process to take peas and turn it into a white powder. It is almost impossible without doing a ton of processing, bleaching, drying, going through all kinds of extraction processes. Whereas if you take milk and you dry it, it becomes a milk powder. And so microfiltered whey ends up being much less processed and very similar to the original source. And so as I started to incorporate more whole dairy into my, meaning unprocessed dairy into my life, I started to think about this a little bit more. And so when it came down to choosing the chai protein, I decided that because of the processing, because of the taste, and because it's closest to its natural form, which is our goal with all of these products, we decided to use the microfiltered whey. Now, I understand that some people are allergic to milk completely, so that won't be good for you. But if you're someone who has been contemplating trying the microfiltered whey, this is a great option for you to get the 20 grams of protein. It doesn't And, if you don't like the whey, there is a regular chai latte, which is coconut milk based. So anyways, I wanted to share that with you because in general, I think plant protein is really great for us, but in unprocessed form. So you want your edamame, you want your organic sprouted tofu, you want your beans soaked and sprouted as much as possible. You want to have the plant-based protein, but not like the soy powders, the pea powders, and the fake meat products, because those are all really ultra processed and can be not that great for you. So I think I wanted to make sure that we know that. Is there any other, Minnie says, I love this session. Thank you, Minnie. I'm so grateful for your feedback. I would love to hear more about what topics that you want to hear about, more questions that you have. Do you have any last questions, Mito, before we kind of open it up or close it out for the evening?
I kind of had a follow-up question in terms of your champion statement. I'd really love to know, like, what you've been writing down or, kind of saying repeatedly with the champion statement. What have you tell us the results? Like, has there been any, results, or have any of the things like manifested?
Yeah. So I had to get really clear on what I wanted, because at first I was like, I want to help a lot of people. Like, that was like, and I want to build a career out of that. And that wasn't specific enough. So I thought really hard about it. And I started to get really clear on what it is that I want to do. And so a big part of my championship statement is just stating what I do. I am a luminary or a leader. So luminary to me feels like more than just like, oh, I'm just a leader. It's like someone who's thinking of new ideas and new things in nutrition and gut health and women's health. And I use those three because I believe that we can talk about anything. We're allowed to talk about anything, right? We talk about mindset, we talk about exercise, but when it comes to where I want to think of new ways, new studies, new research, new tactics, it is the nutrition, gut health, so like gut brain health, and women's health space. So the perimenopause space. This is the areas that I really want to be a leader in. And as soon as I got clear on that, things started to change for me. Because I think when people know what you're wanting to be good at, and what you want to concentrate on, they start to understand where you're coming from. So like the more clarity you have, the more clarity they have of why they're following you, why they're coming to you, and so I think in general, like getting clarity on anything, like if you want to be fit, if you want to be healthy, what does that even mean? What does being healthy mean? Being healthy to somebody could mean doing a handstand, and being healthy to someone else could mean that they're looking to normalize their cholesterol, for example, or it could mean that they look fit. And that's all three different goals. So you have to get really crystal clear. For me, I want to maybe be a combination of those things. That's why I mentioned those three things. And I think that being really, really clear about what you want is something that's like become almost like an advantage for me, because now when I make my post or I'm creating the agenda for today's meeting, or I'm thinking of a podcast, I'm always going through the lens of like, what can I offer you, the person who's listening, watching, reading, that is going to really elevate your nutrition, your gut brain health, or your health as a woman going through perimenopause. Like, what is it that I can offer you from my own experience of my old self, or the new research, or something I've seen in patients, or something that might be surprising to a lot of people. And as soon as I got clarity on that, I started to see a lot of people responding to that. So that's how it's been so far. And I'll to let you know as I continue to do it. I've only been doing it for about, I want to say 6 months. But it's all aspects of my life. That's why I've really decided to get control over my weight training, because part of it is being the strongest I've ever been. And that's not going to happen if I don't stay intentional for this next year. So we have about a minute left. Is there anything you thought that you wanted to add that, could be helpful for people, or a question or a comment?
I think I just want to say that I'm so grateful that you're actually doing these types of sessions, because I think there's so much information out there and it's so hard to know like what to follow or what to not, or even just how to sort through it all or find it. So I love this opportunity to kind of have like this direct access to you and really know like what I can do to optimize myself, because I'm getting older and it's not just about losing weight. I want to be strong. I don't want to have osteopenia. I want to have good health. I also want to age gracefully. I don't want to just kind of be like a train wreck. I want to age gracefully. And really, I don't want to be a burden to anyone. Like I want to be able to just take care of myself. And so I just want to say thank you for doing this and giving us, access to you and letting us ask you these questions.
Yeah. And for those of us who, if you wanted to go back and listen to something we talked about, some of the steps, I'm going to be putting together a guide for some of these steps that we can be doing. But this is also going to be posted as a podcast. It's the Save Yourself podcast. And for those of you who know the podcast well, thank you. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for subscribing. This all helps get visibility because it's 100% free. And for those of you who want this group coaching model, go to amymdnetwork.com and check it out, because I think I would love to have you here and really make this the best 2025 for all of us. So with that being said, I'm very excited to start off this year with a bunch of action steps that we'll be putting together for you very soon and sharing that with you. So stay tuned. In these weekly meetings, we're going to be going over those steps, seeing how to implement them, giving you support and tips and guidance around these steps so that you don't feel like you're just kind of on your own. You have some accountability. You have some kind of vehicle of like accomplishing this if you decide to do it. So I want to thank you so much. Happy 2025. And I can't wait to see what this year holds for all of us. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bethany. Have a great day, everyone.